everyone. Welcome to the HT Podcast Show. We haven't done an episode in a while, so we're kind of excited to get back on the horse, per se. So my name is Trưởng Kiên.
I'm Trung Viễn, and this is...
Phil.
Yes, Philomena is a full name. So I'm very excited to learn more about Philomena. Before we start, I remember this time. We're going to pop open the...
Yes. Let's go. 1, 2.
Wait, my
three.
nail. Okay, 1,
2, 3. Okay. So let me ask, is it hard to do everything with those length of nail?
Some things, yes, like opening a can, but I think everything else is fine.
So typing even?
Yeah, typing's fine. I just type with like the pads of my finger. Yeah.
But she definitely can still be a Huynh Trưởng with those nails. So, and we'll find out later if her nails is an impediment to her job. So before we start on your profession, can you tell us a little bit about yourself in regards to Thiếu Nhi? Because I know you're not from Washington, is what I recall. And originally you're from?
California. Yeah, specifically Orange County, California, Garden Grove.
Oh yeah, I know that area. Yeah. Tons of people in there. And great food too.
Tons.
A lot of Thiếu Nhi down there though.
Yeah, a lot more than here, I think.
Which chapter were you part of?
I was St. Polycarp for Liên Đoàn and Song.
Oh, okay.
So in Stanton. So we were pretty like a good size.
What's a good size over there? Because a good size here
okay.
So Liên Đoàn is almost probably one of the biggest Liên Đoàn in the US.
Oh,
they
so
have the
you're
most members.
I see. So you were being a little humble when you say good size, but it's probably huge, right? So do you remember how many people was in your band?
I think about 100 something.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, I know a few people from heard on St. Polycarp now. They're down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
So why did you move up here then?
Yeah, so I moved up because of college. So I study at St. Martin's University right now. And so I have family up here already. So Washington's always been a second home for me. And so...
Was that why you applied up here or...
Oh, no, that's a whole different story. I wanted to go to school in California because I wanted to be a teacher. And so I was like, if I do the program in California, it's like an easier pathway and we have good schools down there for education program.
Why is it an easier pathway down there compared to up here, you think?
So my thinking was that the program would help me get a job in California, having networks and connections. And then the certification processes, I didn't know at that time. I don't know, like, if I get certified in a different state, would that apply to California?
Yeah.
So.
And so how long ago was that you applied up here, that you came up here?
That was 4 years ago. So
right out of college, basically?
Yes.
Were you Huynh Trưởng when you moved, or?
Let's see. When I moved, I think, I was a Hiệp sĩ Chân Thân. So not Huynh Trưởng yet.
So you studied, so you came Huynh Trưởng up here then? And which Don are you from now? Are you with now?
Oh, Don Emmanuel.
Of course. Of course, we got to rep
That's
it.
in Olympia. And for all those who don't know, that's in Olympia. So she drove all the way up here for that. Thank you.
Was it difficult moving? I just assume you have many friends. I normally don't have a lot of friends. So I just assume everyone else have all the friends that I don't have.
I'm his only friend for real.
So thank you. I appreciate it. So joking aside, or not joking aside, it must have been extremely difficult because you grew up there, right? All the Thiếu Nhi stuff was back there. All your Thiếu Nhi friends were back there. Was it difficult moving up here and then just kind of starting over, especially because you weren't a Huynh Trưởng yet? You know?
To be honest, no.
Okay.
Because one of the reasons why, or the main reason why I moved from California to here, why I chose St. Martin's, I didn't want to go here, but it was because my family, I come from like a really strict family. And so I knew that like I wanted my college experience to be somewhere where I learned like independence. And so I wanted to move away from home. And so St. Martin's was away from home. And so moving here, it wasn't difficult for me.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
You kind of want to move away all those past relationships.
Did you apply to any schools that was in California?
Yeah, I did. I applied to Cal State Long Beach, Cal State Fullerton, some of the UCs like UCI, UCR.
Nice.
So I got into most of those.
Nice. And then so when you got up here, how did you decide how did you find Thiếu Nhi up here?
Ooh.
Or did Thiếu Nhi find you? Because Thiếu Nhi is always in need of more people, right?
Yeah, no, I knew when I moved, I wanted to still be in TUNY. And so I just did some Google searching. I went on Instagram and like Google and I searched it up. And then I found Don Emmanuel's Instagram. I went on Instagram. I looked at the people that were in the photos and I looked at the tags. And I clicked on like one of like, I don't know, one of the Hip Seach and Tons username. I just messaged him saying like, hey, can I join? And
I guess we need to up our Instagram game.
Yes, we do. Because
that's how they recruit these days.
We need to recruit this way. We really need, because our Instagram right now is, in my opinion, we don't post that much. So we have to post pictures of happy people, right? And make sure that we tag all people. So when people see happy people, they can find the happy people and join. So
the benefit that we have is that we're near a military base or a couple military bases. So we get a lot of military people up here. So my Don right now we have at least 2 or 3 military guys coming over from other places.
So when you became Hip Seach and Tang here, so you became a Huynh Trưởng when you were here. Gotcha.
Yes. I became
Huynh Trưởng here, right?
Did you come out during COVID?
Gutmo, no. I went to Gutmo after COVID, but I went to Gutmo actually in California. And I also got promoted as a Huynh Trưởng in California.
Oh, so you were Huynh Trưởng already when you came over.
No, she came up here. She came back for that.
Oh, yeah. She came back for that.
For like in the summer, I went back for summer break and I got promoted there.
So you were Hip Seach and Tang over here, and you came back to become Huynh Trưởng over there in California, and then you came back here, become a fresh new Huynh Trưởng over here. Wow. Okay.
So were there a lot of differences between the TNTT down here or TNTT here versus TNTT down in California?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Such as any example?
She doesn't want to say it. She doesn't want to embarrass herself.
No. Like shout out to Lin Duan Gun Song. Like love you guys. I think the big difference is just the size, and then with the size comes like the level of like intimacy and relationships that you have with the kids and other Huynh Trưởng.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so. When I was in California, I don't know, I saw it as kind of like a competitive Lin Duan. Like I love Lin Duan Gun Song and there's so many great things about it, but since it's so big, I feel like some of the events that we hold sometimes become like a competition between certain Duans, like who's the best Duan and who has the best kids and Huynh Trưởng.
Yeah. Isn't your Huynh Trưởng like 1,000 or 2,000 kids or something? It's wild.
So when you came over here and you had, these events over here, you felt like it was more of a smaller community and just getting to know each other.
Yeah, it was so cool. Like we have Lin Duan and Nasio has like Huynh Trưởng retreats, right? And those events, and everyone is friends with each other, even from different Duans, and it's so nice.
And they just accepted you like that.
Yeah.
One day that will be me. So
if you come to the events.
That's why I've never seen you at the events.
He doesn't go that often.
Once you have a wife and 2 kids, you really don't go to these events as much. But it's really great to hear that all Lin Duan is very accepting of new people. So
let's see, you came up here to study at St. Martin. It's a Catholic university.
Yeah.
What did you study?
I studied elementary education.
Oh, nice. And is that what you're doing now?
Yes, so I just got my bachelor's in elementary education, and then this upcoming month I'll get my master's in special education. And I also recently got certified to be a general ed teacher. I have that certification, and I just need to study a little bit more to get the special ed certification.
Did you do your master's at St. Martin as well?
Yeah. So St. Martin's, they have this program called the 4+1 program, and so you get your bachelor's in 4 years, and then you get your master's with an extra year instead of 2 years.
That's nice.
Well, that's really good.
You save money. Yeah. Well, it's expensive already, I assume. So I don't know if you save that much more money. No, you save a lot of time, but yeah.
Is it an expensive program? You don't have to tell yes or no, maybe so. You don't have to give me a number or anything like that.
Yeah, I think it's an okay. I don't think it's as expensive as UW because I did apply and got accepted to UW and I wanted to go there, but I was looking at the prices. But I think because I'm out of state, it's more expensive at UW. So
did someone inspire you to go into this profession, or was it more like you were a Huynh Trưởng, or when you were in Onyi, you're like, oh, I love teaching. I love Huynh Trưởng teaching me all the time. I want to teach too. It has to be someone or something, I assume.
I think having good teachers back in elementary school, I went to a Catholic school basically my whole life, but in elementary school, I had good teachers. And then I think a moment where I decided that I wanted to go into teaching was when I was a TA for Yao Li back in California. And so as a TA, my teacher let me lead one of the lessons. And after teaching that lesson, I was like, you know, I love that creative part of being able to take something that is like sometimes boring or hard for kids to understand and turning that into something that's fun. And so,
do you find that your experience with Tingy, like teaching wise, help with anything that you do at work, or vice versa?
Yeah, for sure. Both ways. I think an experience that I had in TNTT actually helped me land one of my job that I'm in right now.
There you go. More advertisement for TNTT. So good to hear.
Yeah. So in TNTT, so like, I don't know if I said that before, but I'm a grad for Oni right now. And so one of the kids in my ngan, he, I believe, has like special needs and has autism, we believe. And so it was really hard because he was also really small. I think he's 5. And so it's really hard to work with him and to get him to sit still. And so right now we're just trying to get to know him and find out what works best for him. And so I took that experience, and then when I went to my job interview, I brought that up as like an experience that I had working with special needs kids, and they're like, oh, that's really good.
I think we see that a lot in TV, where a lot of kids who have special needs, but the parents don't tell us when we register the kids. It happens all the time, and we have to find out ourselves. And often the Huynh don't go back to the parents and ask them, hey, what can we do to help your kids better? Or how can we, work with them? Do you have any suggestions for working with kids in those situations?
Yeah.
Especially for me too, because for my kids, it's very, and you said something earlier that was very kind of profound to me, which is you take something and make it fun. That's how kids learn, right? And for me, with my 2 boys, I can do that for maybe 5 minutes. I can make everything fun. Oh, you want to learn about the sky? Let's talk about the sky for 5 minutes. And then we'll make it super fun and draw things. After 5 minutes, I'm exhausted, right? And I can't imagine, that's why I see teachers. I was like, I can't imagine, or even Huynh Trưởng, who teaches Onyi, I can't imagine teaching that long and keeping things fresh. For a whole classroom. So I'm just curious if there's like a secret sauce, because you must have the patience of a saint, I assume, right?
Yeah, definitely patience. And it's just, I don't know, I feel like my program, learning how to become a teacher, has helped me a lot. To become a teacher and also to become a better Huynh Trưởng, because they teach you a lot about how you should format your lessons. You should have like breaks in between. You can move to different areas of the room. There's so many different things that goes into teaching.
I assume the kids at that age, their capacity for attention, the attention span is not as long, so you have to break those up. Like, heck, my attention span is really short too.
And that's really good to hear, because sometimes I used to teach Onyi too, and my way through it was just to be energetic the whole way through, the whole 30 minutes or an hour. And I'm so exhausted afterwards.
You have to push the energy.
Exactly. But what Phil or Philomena, Philomena is saying is that you don't have to be this hyperactive on the high level all the time. If you just actually be a good teacher, be a good Huynh Trưởng, at the end of the day, if you make sure you have a good template and have the right breaks and have the right background and rules, then it should be kind of smooth sailing in the sense of you can pace yourself and you don't tire yourself out. That's what I'm understanding by what you're saying.
Yes. What we learn is effective like classroom management is all about your method of instruction. So if you have a good method of instruction, like you said, a good like flow of the lesson and everything like that, that translates into classroom management and kids staying focused.
Is there any like small tips or tricks that you kind of like figure out recently, especially with that student that you say potentially can have, you know, is there any tips and tricks that you found that was really helpful to be teaching ONYs and of course your younger kids too?
Yeah, for sure. So back to like your question that you're saying, like how do you teach special needs kids? It's all about knowing the student. So getting to know what the kids like and dislike, what works with them, what doesn't, because not every kid learns the same. So my kid that has special needs, he really likes drawing. And so a way to accommodate to that is instead of having him like sit down the whole time and listen to like the weekly gospel, we print out like coloring sheets of the weekly gospel and he can just sit on the side and color. And that's a way for him to learn.
Yeah. So how many people is in your ngành? Is it just you or are you the only Huynh Trưởng in your ngành? Do you have other Huynh Trưởng helping you?
Yeah, so it's me and then I have 2 other Hypsich and Tons as support. And then the kids, we have 7 ONY kids if everyone shows up.
So much smaller than ours.
And I just want to point something out Philomena is bringing up, which is I notice as Huynh Trưởng, when we teach a lesson, or let's say you're teaching a lesson, Philomena, you're teaching a lesson, there's a decent amount of time where as other Huynh Trưởng are just sitting around, either on their phones or kind of just not really thinking about the lesson, right? Not really engaging with the lesson at all. And I know what you're saying is every kid needs, not every kid, but some kid needs special attention, right? So to me, if you're Huynh Trưởng and you're sitting on the sidelines, you can still be engaged in a lesson even if you're not teaching it. Because they are if you know the kids, at least know their name and know their personality just a little bit, you'll know that they're not paying attention or you know that they need the extra help. And you can actually go and engage with them. And I think that's a part of either special education or higher education overall, or elementary kid education that we Huynh Trưởng, because, well, I'm not young, but you know, younger Huynh Trưởng don't really recognize that you can still engage in it. And it's probably the best if you engage with the lesson while the other Huynh Trưởng is teaching to help them out.
Because actually it becomes really distracting when you're not engaging at.
Yes.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
You've seen those.
It's like other Huynh Trưởng is like, you can't expect your kids to engage, especially older kids, if the other Huynh Trưởng is not engaging, right? So, but beyond that, especially with younger kids, I love the idea of getting yourself involved, really thinking like a true educator. And it's really profound that you're able to take what you've learned from your schooling and kind of bring it to ONY. And it's rare to get that, right?
So can I ask, which school district do you work for right now?
Yeah, I work for North Thurston School District.
Okay, so down towards Olympia area.
Yes.
So you're saying you're going through school right now, but you also work? Is it, are you like, do you need to get hours in, or is this like a separate job that you just want to make, you know, just do above and beyond schooling?
Yeah, this is a separate job. So
okay.
it's full time from like 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. whole school day.
Full-time job, wow.
Yeah.
So, when do you go to school? When do you go to school? I don't...
Yeah. Because it's a master's program, I think most master's people have jobs. They're usually like older than me. So our classes are in the evenings.
Oh, I see.
So for those, I like to ask this question, but for those who are interested in your career or your field as well, can you give us a salary range, like a low end or high end, so that those who are interested will know like what to kind of like to expect?
Yeah, it depends on the school district that you teach in, and the area, and the state.
Sure.
So I know in California, I believe starting it depends also like on the degree and also how many years you've been teaching. So I think starting in California would be like 70 something K. With masters, it's a little bit more. And that's why I was like, oh, I should get my master's.
That's actually more than I thought it would be.
I agree with you.
Because maybe because it is in California, but still like
the cost of living.
Yeah, because up here I don't think it would be that high.
Yeah, because that's very high. Yeah, because I know the general, I'm not sure you agree or disagree with this, but teaching is not, you don't go teaching to make money.
It's a low paying job for the most part.
You're teaching it because it's fulfilling, right? It lets you go somewhere where you're actively forced to engage with children, right? So, and it goes back to, I think we talk about this with another podcast where sometimes I feel like my job could be just pill counting the whole day and everyone becomes, I hope I don't lose my job over this, but this is true with most jobs. Everyone kind of becomes a number. Yeah. So to truly feel fulfill a profession, potentially is a job that is forcing you to engage socially with people. I can't imagine being around kids, right? Like you're forced to engage, right?
So you're still pretty young in your career. Do you have plans on becoming maybe an administrator one day, or do more administrative things?
She's like, money, yes.
or do you want to stick with working one-on-one with kids?
Yeah, I think working one-on-one, because I think as an administrator you have to start working with more adults. And so I'm like, working with adults, I'd rather work with kids.
Not your cup of tea. Yeah.
So you're working right now I know you have an education or something else, but you're working right now. What's your exact job title right now that you're working at? Yeah,
so I'm a program para-educator.
And can you explain what that means? Because I didn't know, when you told me, I didn't know what that was. I had to look it up. So.
Yeah, for sure. So the classroom that I work in is a K through second grade. We have about 7 kids in there, and those kids all have like autism. Gotcha. And our classroom is called Life Skills. So these are the group of students in a school that need the most support. And so in that classroom, we have one main teacher, and that's like the certified special education teacher. She's the one that does more of like the administrative tasks and is like the head teacher. And then there's me, and then 3 other people like me.
So you guys have 5 people
for a class of 7, you said?
Yeah. But these are all high needs.
So it's all almost one-on-one.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So you have a lot of help, but I assume this is still a very difficult job, right?
Yeah.
Even though potentially it could be one-on-one sometimes. So I don't want to, you can say yes or no, but do you ever feel like at the end of the day, you're like, oh man, this is very tiring, and now I have to go to school. Do you ever feel kind of pushed beyond your limits sometimes, and you're like, maybe this isn't a profession for me, right? And we all feel that sometimes, right? Yeah. So I'm just curious if you ever felt that way, and if you do, how do you deal with that? Because you can't go to TNTT because same thing happens at TNTT. Some people go to TNTT to get relieved from some of that stress, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you ever felt that way? And it's okay if you don't. I mean, right? Yeah.
For this job right now, my contract hours, I don't work beyond my contract hours. But say if I were the head teacher of that classroom, then maybe I would. Yeah. But my contract hours end there. And then, it is tough balancing school and work, and then also TNTT. Yeah. So that's difficult. But when I was a student teacher, so how the education program works is that you do like your schooling, and then towards the end, you do a student teaching internship. And that's where you spend like a semester in a classroom and like actually teach underneath a mentor teacher supervision. So a few months ago, I was a student teacher in a general ed classroom for second grade. Okay. And so that was definitely more tiring.
Really?
Yeah, than the position that
Even though there were more kids.
Yeah, so maybe that's why it was more tiring, because there were so many kids and it was really overstimulating and you kind of had to work with all of them.
Yeah. And were there less teachers involved in the class?
Oh, yeah. So it was just me.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's surprising to hear, to be honest, because you would assume that is vice versa. What you're doing now would be more tiring, because it needs so much help. So,
but at the same time, when you're by yourself with a ton of kids,
that's true.
Imagine yourself taking an IE class by yourself, right?
Yeah, it would be nicer to get paid, and it'll be less stressful maybe that way, or maybe not, right?
Have you ever considered a different career?
A different career.
Yeah, if you never went into this field, have you thought about anything else?
I don't know. Not really. Maybe before I thought of becoming a teacher, I was like, oh, like maybe marine biologist, like playing with animals, or like a photographer. You know, but no.
Yeah.
So you're pretty happy with where you're at.
Yeah.
Nice.
And what do you do to de-stress then? I mean, at the end of a tough day, do you have any hobbies or things that you do or ways to just kind of like, oh, I have to get rid of all the stress? My way is working out early morning. That's like the only time.
He gets up at like 4 a.m. to go work out.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And I have to. If I don't, my body will break down, and mentally I would break down. So it's something I have to do. But I assume everyone has a way to cope. Maybe it's drinking Coca-Cola. I don't know. Yeah,
boba.
Boba.
That's my wife's way of de-stressing. So
boba.
Yeah. So that's good that you have some. I mean, do you have a way? Or is it really boba tea?
No, no. If it was, that'd be a very expensive way to de-stress.
You have diabetes by now.
For me, my hobby, I would say, would be spending time with the people I love. So hanging out with friends on the weekends, or if I have time on the weekdays.
So do you go back to California often?
Yeah, I go back every time there's a winter break or a summer break, I'll go back.
And then when you do go back, do you Sinhak with Tunyi still?
I do. Nice. I do.
Have you thought about going back over there?
Yeah.
I don't want to put you in the spot because you're on camera.
Yeah, right? Yeah. No, I'm going back. So after I graduate this month, I'll be moving
Does your dad know?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, they know. Okay, they're really sad.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we're glad we got you on this before you had to leave.
For sure. No, I do have some more kind of fun personal questions and things like that. So if you had to kind of pick, I think I kind of know the answer already because you kind of answered it. But if you had to pick between working with one kid and making a huge impact with that kid versus working with a bigger class and making a slight impact with that big class, what would you pick?
Yeah, that's a pretty tough question. I would say for me, I would choose the first option of making like a bigger impact on one kid. And I kind of feel like that plays into like a struggle that I'm having right now. For when I move back to California, do I want to be in a general education classroom, or do I want to be in special ed? Because there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah. And you haven't worked in both, so you really don't know. Is it easy to switch between the two? If you go to one, is it easy to switch to the other one?
I'm not too sure, but I would think so.
I can't imagine. Yeah. And if there was a Huynh Trưởng out there right now, even younger than yourself, if that's possible, who wants to go into this profession, what do you recommend they do first?
Yeah. What's the first step and stuff like that?
Join TNTT, right?
Yes.
Always the first step.
Always first step and the last.
Yeah, for sure. Being in TNTT gets your foot in there, knowing like what age range you want to work with, because in TNTT you get to try out the different guns and see what age range, and then see if you can maybe help out with other events or things where there's kids like Yao Li or like Viet Ngữ.
That makes a lot of sense, right? Now that I think about it, or church and TNTT in general, it's a pretty big way to kind of pad your resume into any kind of teaching profession, any profession that's working with kids. It looks really good.
Yeah. I mean, I know someone who did the master's thesis strictly on TNTT thing.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I wish it helped with pharmacy.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. I put that on my resume like every year, and I'm not even sure they read it. I was like, no, I help out. I'm a
So after getting those experience in TNTT, what do they do? Apply to a school, look up, how do they research it? Or, is there this kind of program at every school?
Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure, almost all schools have a teaching program. You just gotta do some research and see if it's like a good program. But the program that I am in for the 4+1 with the masters, I don't know if any other schools have that, or not many have like that accelerated program to have that masters.
So is it just more condensed down, or did they like just speed through everything?
So they were saying that some of the classes I'm already taking as in my general ed classrooms, they also count for the master's credit. And so they just like bumped up that like course number to be master's.
Gotcha.
And then, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised we didn't bring this up too, by the way, is that your full name is Philomena, right? And I'm not sure, you want to tell about like who Philomena is? Because when I found out your name, I was like, this fits kind of perfectly with what you're doing, to be honest. Yeah.
It's a very unique name too. I think you're the only person I know that has his name.
Yeah, nickname is Phil. I assume we were going to interview a guy.
Did you really? When
you show up, I was like, hey, there's a lady out here. I'm not sure she got the right place. So
Yeah. So my name is Philomena, and so I was named after Saint Philomena. And so she is a really older saint way back. And so I believe she was 13, a young girl, and then the emperor wanted to take her hand in marriage, and she didn't want to because she wanted to stay a virgin and dedicate like her life to God. And so after hearing that, the emperor was really mad, and he had her experience torture and all that stuff. Put her in jail, and then had arrows shot at her. And I think the final way that she died was that she had like an anchor tied around her neck and was dropped into the river.
Is that how you feel every day? Is that what you're like?
Sometimes I was like, Saint Philomena, help me.
Help me.
Yeah.
You've gone through it all. I'm going through it right now.
Okay, do you know which like country she was from? Like that or that time period?
Yeah.
Oh, time period? I don't know.
How bad?
Old.
Yeah,
Like, old.
Yeah.
I think it was Italy, where she's from. And I actually had the opportunity to visit her shrine.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
Yeah. A few years ago
Nice.
in Italy.
How did it feel to see your name?
It was cool.
On stone,
it was cool. I think I was like in 8th grade or so, but it was really cool visiting like the church and shrine that's dedicated to her, and seeing like how many people in that country actually like have a veneration and dedication to her.
Did you ever ask your parents like, hey, am I meeting, I know this is kind of a sappy, lame question, but am I meeting your perception of, Saint Philomena? Because I assume that's why they name, unless you pick your own name somehow, but I assume that's why they name you Saint Philomena.
Yeah, no, I never asked them that question.
Oh, you should.
Next time you go home.
Yeah.
Because she's a saint, I believe, and ChatGPT could have led me astray. I believe that it's the saint of use, in difficult situations, and almost, it's the saint of lost cause, right? And then when I think about someone who's teaching, I'm not saying teaching special needs is lost cause, but I have a sense, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, that when you're teaching special needs kids, sometimes you don't see the results of your labor right away, or maybe not even at all. So you're like every day you're going to work and you're like, I'm helping, I'm putting so much emotion, I'm putting so much effort into this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids, and it doesn't seem like the progress is there. And I see that's probably difficult with even general education already, but I can't imagine that kind of intensity, the kind of feeling is intensified with special need education. And I believe that's to me, that's like, wow, your name fits perfectly with this idea of a lost cause, idea of a saint who doesn't give up on someone, even though it feels like a lost cause and no progress is made. So
the moral of the story is watch what you name your kids.
I'm gonna name my kid Bill Gates. I'm gonna change his name or something.
So I know that your Don is doing a mission trip to Vietnam. Are you going to?
Yes, I am.
You want to tell the viewers a little bit about it, or if they can support it in any way?
Yeah, for sure. So this upcoming summer, our Duan, so the Huynh Trưởng and then the high schooler kids will all be going to Vietnam, different areas of Vietnam, to help out those who are less fortunate, so like the orphans, the poor, the elderly. And we'll be working with the nuns over there, the sisters, to do that. And so we are still fundraising. We're almost to our goal. But if you'd like to donate, then let's see, search up, You know what?
You can give us a link.
We'll give it later. We'll
I'll
put
drop it in the comments.
Yeah, we'll put it in there.
Can you make sure? Yeah,
Yeah.
just message me the link. I'll put it on
Yeah.
the video, and I'll put it on.
Yeah,
there.
but that sounds like a great.
Yeah, and
great
Vian
trip.
will donate a huge amount too.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Wow.
Yes,
of course.
apparently. Yes.
on camera, right here.
Okay, we have that on camera.
If you could join me, sure.
I have 2 kids. Yes. My wife won't let me. Okay, she'll break these classes. Yeah. So, if you have any other questions, I do have one final one.
Go for it.
Yeah, and I know this is another sappy one, but to me, it's what you do really speaks to me because I have 2 kids and I tutor them myself. Not completely tutor, I use a program, but there are some times where it just changed lately because they become more independent. So I'm very proud of them. But in the beginning, there has been times where it almost broke me, where it was after 2 hours of teaching one concept. And he finally got it. I'm not going to tell which kid because I don't want him to watch in the future and know.
For reference, his older kid is now Anyi age. His younger kid is like 4, 5.
Okay.
So I don't want him to know in the future which one. But it was after 2 hours of teaching a concept and he finally got it. Very simple concept, I think, right? But to a kid, it's very complex. And it was after that, he was done and he left the room and I went into the closet and I almost
Screamed.
I did scream and I'm pretty sure I broke down to tears because of the holding back of all the emotion.
While you're doing it.
Yes, there's a lot of emotion that's involved in that. I'll name a few in the sense of frustration. Frustration because it's like, why don't you get it? Frustration is like, these are my genetics. These are my kids. So your knowledge, lack of knowledge is a representation of my own idiocracy, right?
Right.
So I'm like, so this is hurting me.
Yeah.
I am a horrible dad myself.
Yeah.
And then yelling at a kid while you're teaching them doesn't help. It just makes the situation worse. So for me, what you do, especially the specific population that you work on, is really, really something that speaks to me. And I applaud you for doing it. And I hope either you go into general or special needs. I wish you the very best because it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. So that's why I'm going to ask like a final question. If you had to be remembered as someone, you want to be remembered as someone who is known for their kindness or their strength. You can't pick both because we all do, right? Which one would you pick? And Vian, you can answer this too. I know my answer.
Sure.
Already.
I'll let you go first.
Okay. Well, what if your strength is your kindness?
Oh, she got quickly
that what
flop
you're
of it. Let me go in the closet and scream right now.
Not understanding it.
Okay, like can you like explain more?
I'm joking. No, that's a great answer.
Okay.
That's a great answer. No, that's a great answer. If my son, and again, I'm not gonna say which one, told me that,
I'm gonna tell him later.
I'll be very like, that's a genius answer. I'm very proud of you. Because at the end of the day, I just want, and I know you do too, you just want them to learn how to learn how to be self-independent and learn by themselves, right? Give them the right tools, you know?
Yeah.
So, good answer. What's yours?
I can't follow that.
I can't follow either. So, but we truly appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of gave some great emotional strength to a lot of our Huynh Trưởng who are thinking about going to this profession. So thank you so much stopping by, Philomena.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Well, cheers.
All right.
Cheers.